Hi there. So delighted to be joined by Tom Hirst. Hi there, Tom. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, John. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very, very good. Always good to speak with you. So before we get into some of the questions, can you just very briefly introduce yourself in terms of what it is you do?
Yeah, sure thing. My name's Tom, and I've been a freelance web developer for coming up 12 years now. Recently started trying to progress into an agency, growing the business a little bit more on the software side. And yeah, I'm also a creator, share a lot of, things about my experience on Twitter. And yeah, created a few ebooks and a course and things like that. So yeah, I've got quite a few things going off in the internet world.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm always inspired by the amount of output you've got. So some great content for people who are freelancing to check out your Twitter. We'll link to it in the video as well. Now, this is first year freelancing, so we're going to go
Yeah.
back. So for you, obviously, like you say, it's 12 years ago for you. So hopefully you can recall. So first of all, can you just tell us how did you get into freelancing in the first place?
Yeah, sure. I think I kind of like fell into it essentially at the beginning because I left university and applied for a job as a web developer straight away. And I had like this epiphany that I just didn't like the whole process. I didn't like the job interview process. I didn't like the thought of turning up to this place day in, day out. And I thought, I just had this epiphany that I can't have a boss essentially. So then I thought, well, what can I do? I can work for myself. I can go freelance. And yeah, that's kind of where it started.
And then tell us about your first freelance client. How did that come about?
Yeah, so after I'd had this realization that I probably wasn't really good to work under a boss, I thought I need some clients. I need to get some money in the bank. So yeah, I just told everyone that I knew. Basically, I just said, look, I've got these skills. I was pretty good at WordPress development right at the beginning. That's how I basically learned how to code through WordPress. So I specialized really, really early. And then yeah, I just told everyone that I knew, like, I can build you a WordPress website. If anybody says, that lovely word, WordPress, I'm your guy. And I ended up getting my first client through my dad. My dad's an accountant. So I just kept drilling it into him. I'm like, Dad, any clients that, mention WordPress or websites or whatever, I'm your guy. And then, yeah, eventually someone got put in touch with me, and I ended up working for that client for, I think it was maybe a year and a half, I think.
Oh, amazing. And I know you speak with a lot of freelancers as well and have a lot of contacts with freelance. So do you find that is common that early stage freelancers find their first work or project or retainer, whatever it might be, through their existing network and family and friends and stuff? Is that a pattern you've seen? Or?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it gives you a bit of, not an easy route in, but like a bit of breathing space, I guess. Especially if it's a direct family member, because perhaps they don't expect you to be like the finished article right away. So yeah, I have noticed a lot of people, getting the first client through that route. But I mean, it's also worth asking family and friends if they know anyone too, not just them directly. You don't have to rely on, your dad having an accountancy business, for example. Like, I did build my dad an accountancy website, to boost the portfolio, but the person that he put me in touch with one of his business contacts. So, your family or friends of family, they might have, people that have got their own small businesses and things like that. So it's a really good way to, start your professional network with a bit of leeway, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And reflecting back on that first year, like what were some of the challenges that you experienced, and maybe some that you didn't foresee that were quite surprising? Can you think of any difficulties you had in that first year?
Yeah. I would say in the first year, I kind of got a little bit trapped. So the first client that I had, I kind of stuck with them, and I was like super happy to be given a chance. But looking back on it in hindsight now, what I should have done is keep marketing and try and get another client so that I had a little bit more leverage, because I kind of got stuck in the trap of being super busy with this one client, and I didn't have any time to market myself to, other clients, which would then have helped me to raise my prices a little bit quicker than what I did. So yeah, my advice in that first year would be to be grateful to someone that will give you that opportunity early on, but also you've got to look out for yourself and, keep looking for more clients on top of that, because it can be very dangerous to be stuck with just one source of income.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I've shared some similar content on the channel around that topic of maybe being reliant on or over reliant on one or two clients. And what about some of the? I mean, obviously, you didn't move from employment to self-employment, as you say. You went straight into it. But what were some of the most rewarding things from that first year of working as a freelancer?
I think for me, maybe looking back on it now, is that it taught me to fend for myself, which I think's an invaluable skill. I think when you do start making freelancing like tick and you realize that I'm always really going to find some work somewhere, you gain that ability, you gain that confidence through that ability to fend for yourself. And I think that looking back on that now, that's served me really well as my life's progressed, not just in business, but, in being resourceful, right, in life and in business. It's just so important. And I think that that's what an early introduction to freelancing can teach you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a good step up for people to take, and we'll get into this now about where you are now. But if you go freelance, there's so many things you have to do yourself, right? That you wouldn't maybe have that as an employee, and it gives you such good skills maybe before you step up, and even if people want to or not. But to running a business, I think it's a step that is well worth everyone taking, really. So you mentioned in the kind of intro a little bit about where you're at, but can you just tell us about obviously how that freelance journey has developed for you and what your focus is now?
Yeah, sure. So I think I probably was about 10 years in freelancing, and I'd been like making good money and things were good. I was really happy having like all the autonomy of, being able to do what I want when I want. But then COVID kind of hit and I was like, I kind of want to do something else, maybe share a little bit more about my experience, help other people. Because I think you get to that point where, at the beginning you're learning just to like better yourself, but then you get to a point where you're learning because you want to help others as well, and you want to, help other people along through your experience. So yeah, I mean, alongside doing the freelancing, I've been, doing digital products, writing books, creating video courses that'll, help people who are probably a few years behind where I am right now to get their careers ahead too in the freelancing game. And then in terms of the software development side of things, I've recently started an agency type business to try and grow it a little bit further beyond myself. So yeah, I think I'm prepared to relinquish a little bit of autonomy in the beginning, to train someone under my guidance, and just see where it can go, really. So I think that's the natural progression, really, of a lot of freelancers. And I think a lot of people do it a lot quicker than what I did, but it just never felt right before until this point. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. It makes a lot of sense. And would you mind just touching on those digital products things? I think for the audience, they could obviously be really relevant for where they're at if they're considering freelancing or have just started. And we'll obviously pop the links in the description, but maybe you could just do a brief intro into each of those digital products that you've got on offer.
Yeah, sure. So the first one that I've got is called 10 Steps to Becoming a Better Freelancer. And this is essentially like the manifesto that I followed to get myself from scratch to making six figures every year. And it's basically 10 really concise points of what I would do now if I was starting again. And it's available for free, that one. So definitely check that out if you're either starting or at an intermediate level and, looking to reach that next level of freelancing. The second one is titled Pricing Freelance Projects. And this is a lot, this is like a proper book. This is like 30,000 words on everything that I've learned about pricing freelance projects in the 12 years that I've been doing it. Talking about different pricing methodologies and, some negotiation techniques in there as well and things like that. And then the most recent digital product that I released in January is called the Personal Website Playbook. And that is because obviously in my freelance, you need some like marketing when you're a freelancer or an agency. And my main source of leads and where my marketing efforts have been focused were on my personal website. So my personal website brings in, 1-2 leads pretty much every single day because I've worked on it, over the years, built up that organic SEO, and traction in, you know, in other avenues. So yeah, that the personal website playbook is, again, you know, my playbook on how I would set up a freelancer's personal website to get leads on autopilot. So you're not worrying about, you know, having to do a lot of outbound. You know, it all comes inbound to you. Positioning yourself as the expert in a certain field, and yeah, building on your organic SEO, crafting offers, working on your messaging. We talk about blogging as well in there too. So yeah, there's quite a lot of detail in that one too, and that's a video course.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think, like, you know, people watching this will experience a lot of those issues regarding sort of marketing their business and picking up new clients and stuff, and definitely around the pricing. I mean, how often do we come across, you know, speaking to freelancers who, I certainly did it, you know, criminally underpricing ourselves really in those early stages, and not really knowing how best to do so, and setting up payments. So really interesting. I'm sure for the audience. The final question was actually going to be some tips you would give if you to someone starting out freelancing, or if you were to go back. So maybe you could share 2 or 3 of the 10 commandments sort of thing, and then obviously people can download to find out the rest.
Yeah, sure. So I think the main thing for me is, the main advice I would give someone starting out freelancing now is to narrow your focus and stick around. So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, try and pick what you do best and what you can do for a long time, and, you know, really hone in on that. Because when you narrow your focus, everything else becomes easier. You know, you know what your marketing is, your messaging's easier. You can identify your ideal client because they're all the same. You know, you're not offering everything to everyone. You're offering one specific service, and you also get better at, you know, doing that specific service over time because it's the only one that you do. So then you become more of an expert, and then you can start charging more money over time too. So yeah, that would be my starting advice, to try not to offer too much in the beginning. Try to, you know, niche down a little bit, and yeah, take it from there.
Yeah, and I think it's quite common, as people think, oh, well, I want to pick up some work. So what I'll say is I'll do a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I'm surely I'll pick up something. And actually what happens, as you say, is that really they're appealing to very few people, if anyone at all. So a very, very good tip. Listen, Tom, always a pleasure to catch up. Some great tips there for the audience. And as I say, we'll link to the digital products that you referenced. Good to see you again. Thanks very much.
Cheers, John.